All right, so today we're talking about this guy, the Sony Zeiss 55mm f1.8 lens. This thing is an absolute classic within the Sony lineup. This is one of the original full frame E-mount lenses released way back in the day alongside the original Sony A7. And no, not the A7 II or the A7R II, but the original A7. So this thing has definitely been around within the Sony lineup for a long time. It's one of my favorite lenses. It's one of the first ones I picked up when I switched from Canon over to Sony. And I know a ton of people love recommending this lens, including myself. And so in this video, I'm gonna give you my 3 big reasons why I think this is such a great lens, even in 2021. All right, so the first big reason why I really love recommending this lens is just the overall quality of the 55 Zeiss. From an optical standpoint, from autofocus to the overall build quality, it's just a really well-built, well-designed lens, just all around. From the optics standpoint, this is a Zeiss lens. So you obviously, along with that, get the Zeiss optics. And we all know Zeiss is no slouch when it comes to producing amazing optics and amazing lenses, and this is definitely no different. Pretty much talk to anybody who's ever owned or shot on this lens, and they will tell you the same, myself included, that this is one of the sharpest lenses that they probably own, and it's certainly one of the sharpest lenses that I own. So optically, it is a fantastic lens. It looks amazing, super clear, super bright, super clean images from the 55 Zeiss. And then the autofocus quality is really, really great as well. From a still standpoint, it's super quick to lock onto focus. It just works really well, even on the newer camera bodies. And then the autofocus, even in continuous AF, is super quiet. So that makes it great for both stills and video. And then just overall, the build quality on this lens is fantastic. It's got this all metal housing, and this is one of the very first lenses that I bought when I switched from Canon over to Sony, and this thing pretty much lives in my camera bag. It's with me on every single shoot that I go on, and despite that, after years of use, this thing still looks like brand new. So yeah, just overall, the quality of this lens is top notch. All right, so the second reason why I really like this lens is just the overall size and weight of this thing. Relatively speaking, this is a pretty compact, lightweight setup compared to other primes and certainly compared to zooms. And so this thing is great because you can just chuck it in your camera bag and forget about it. And then even if you end up not using it on a shoot, it's really not a big deal because it's not like you're lugging around a ton of extra bulk or weight, and it's just there if you need it. And then once you attach it to a camera body, especially in full frame, you're gonna get a really great, well-balanced, compact setup that's perfect for running and gunning, or if you're somebody like me who does a lot of weddings and be carrying this thing around all day, it's gonna allow you to be quick and maneuver and do the things you need to do and not get in your way. So that's really great as well. And then because it's so small, it's even gonna feel great and be still well balanced, even on an aps-c camera setup. So it's gonna be a perfect lens in terms of size and weight, regardless of whether or not you're a full frame or an aps-c shooter. All right, so the third reason why I really like this lens is because the price point that it comes in at. Again, this thing's been around for a long time, since 2013, so there's a ton of used versions out there on the market, and I know if you go over to eBay, at least here in the US, you can find this lens going for like $550 or $600, which in my opinion, that's a bargain. It's a heck of a steal. But even if you want to buy a brand new version, if you go out there, I think they retail for $1,000 brand new, or when it's on sale, it goes for $900, I believe. But either way you go, whether it's used or new, you're going to get a really good deal, especially for the value and the quality of this lens. But I do think that in 2021, the real way to go is if you can find a really good quality used copy. I think that's the bargain to be had. All right, so yeah, it's a really, really great lens that obviously I really love, but you might be wondering, are there any downsides to this lens? I would say there's really only 2 things I would really knock it on. The first thing that I would say is kind of a negative is the fact that it's not weather sealed, meaning there's no gasket here on the end. I wish that there was. For $1,000, I kind of think that there should be, but there isn't. That being said, I have used this lens in all sorts of nasty conditions, from rain to snow, cold, super hot, humid, whatever. I've never had any issues with it, but I do wish that it was weather sealed with that little gasket. The only other thing I would really cast as a negative on this lens is that I don't think it really has a particularly great close focusing distance. You do have to be kind of far from your subject in order for it to focus. So it's definitely not going to be a great lens for really, really up close product photography, but if you are going to be shooting really up close, that's really what a macro lens is for anyway, so it's not really a huge issue, but I do kind of wish at times it was a little bit better. But really those are the only 2 things, and I would not describe those as really big issues, but I think they're worth noting. Now, I don't really count these as negatives, but I do think it's worth knowing that this, from an external standpoint, is a relatively clean and sleek lens, meaning that there's really no external controls. The only external control that you really get is going to be the actual aperture ring itself. Now, that being said, the aperture ring does feel really nice. It's super smooth, it's really well balanced, it's got a nice weight to it. But other than that, there's really nothing else on this. There's no like external aperture ring. There's no focus hold button. There's no AF/MF switch. There's no optical steady shot. There's nothing else on this lens other than that zoom ring. So if that's important to you, then I think that's worth knowing. But for me, that's not really a big issue. So I don't really count it as a negative. All right, so who is this lens for then? You know, honestly, it's a 55mm prime. It's a fast prime. I think pretty much anybody, regardless of the type of work that you do, the type of shooting that you do, I think everybody can benefit from having a medium telephoto 50-ish millimeter focal length prime in their camera bag. This thing is just an all-around great lens for all types of shooting, whether it's street or products or portraits, couples, weddings, really you name it. I think, again, anybody can benefit from having this in their camera bag, you know, and especially because it is a fast aperture lens, an f1.8, it's going to be great for those low light situations as well. It's just an all-around great lens for pretty much most people. All right, so that's really going to be it for this video. I'm going to try to keep it short. But again, yeah, if you're watching this video, I'm guessing it's probably because you're considering picking this thing up in 2021 and you're wondering whether it's still worth it. In my opinion, it is definitely still worth it, whether it's 2021 or probably even in 2022. I think this is going to be a great solid buy for most people. Again, especially if you can find a good deal on a used version. So yeah, I definitely recommend picking this thing up. I do not think you'll be disappointed. And so yeah, hopefully you found this video useful. Hopefully it may help make your decision a little bit easier if you're considering this lens. If you like this video, if you found it useful, definitely do me a favor, hit that thumbs up button. It would mean a lot to me. As always, if you have not subscribed already, definitely go hit that subscribe button down below. Anything I did not cover about this lens, any questions that you might have on it, I'll leave those comments in the comment section down below. I'll do my best to answer them as soon as I can. And as always, guys, that's gonna be it for this video. So until next time, take care, stay safe, keep shooting, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.